All right, traders, a quick rundown today. It is Wednesday, September 18th, and a quick rundown for today's Fed action. All right, always a tricky day, these Fed days, I think anyway. And, the market all over the place today. We started out, kind of moving down and, we kind of continued down even before Powell spoke. It was kind of, an odd move, especially in the small caps. Bonds were bid all day long. TLT was up and up around 1% for most of the session until the end of the day. But yeah, just kind of a really weird move. We haven't been seeing that much where the market is down going into these Fed meetings. I think for the majority of the Powell meetings, I always like to think that there's been some short covering, and sometimes the market is actually up into the Fed meeting. So what's the takeaways from the meeting today? I think that the takeaways were, of course, they cut rates, which, by the way, was not fully expected, right? I mean, the expectations kind of dropped over the last week that it wasn't fully priced in as it was last week. So, bottom line, they did cut rates. I think the market got a little bit worried. If we look at the S&P here, um, was oscillating all around a bit based on, the dot plots revealing that not everybody wanted to cut, and they, don't think that there's another one that is needed right away. Is basically what that revealed. Uh, and you can see the futures are still rallying here a little bit, but you know, again, bottom line is when it kind of came out in the conference that Powell is ready to kind of act if he needs to be, and we started to think as the market was selling off, and it did look sketchy, right around 245. And I started to kind of think in the trading room, and I'm like, I don't really get it. The market, it seems like I don't know why the market is moving down, but it seems like the market just wants to go down whatever Powell says because, just listening to him, I don't know what else investors or fund managers would really be looking for. I mean, you got the cut, and they're not going to come out and say, hey, we're going to do another one. They never do that. So I thought, I was like, what is going on? The market just wanted to sell off anyway, but we did see that recovery and a nice move, and a little bits and pieces of call buying. There was put buying as well today. The frantic kind of hedging, where people are kind of thrown off guard, which it seems like we always see. But yeah, there was some trades. There was some XLI industrials. More good news after the close was that Microsoft upped their buyback program and their dividend higher than expected. So, some really good news for Microsoft. We did see a lot of weekly calls leading up to this. There was also a nice Amazon trade too, which I've been looking at Amazon, and I mentioned Amazon in yesterday's call as well. But there was a decent sized Amazon trade too that hit. Now, granted, it kind of got a little bit crazy. I will check the open interest on this tomorrow. There were some outright calls that hit. Let's see if I can find them here. Yeah, I think this was it. October 4th, 1,800 calls. Open interest on that order was 253. So again, I'll check that open interest tomorrow. But going out a couple weeks, if you look at the size of that trade, it's a $1.2 million premium trade, right? It's not like sometimes we see like 50,000 or 100,000 premium orders. That one's 1.2 million. And again, I've been looking at this Amazon thinking, hey, maybe this thing gets going here. And it made a nice comeback. A lot of names, it is tough. Right, if you look at the Qs for the day, the Qs were also, we were seeing call buying in the Qs. And you could see if you go to our option activity. And if you go to so here's, what time is this? 3:27. Yeah, we saw like I said, some XLI, a little bit of Apple calls. ZTO saw some calls. There was the Amazon trade. I may not have copied and pasted everything into this channel because I always try to spot some new things. Interesting, there was this big put order in U.S. Steel, which I believe they have guided down here in the after hours. Lilly was one of the names that they saw. I was calling them Eli Lilly. Sorry, not Eli. Eli Manning calls. Repeat call buyer in the Callaway Golf today. Also, TPH saw calls early on. I did take that trade this morning. We also saw some Baidu calls today as well, which is unusual. Another interesting one, Sky calls. This is the cloud computing ETF. Again, pretty far out of the money stuff, but somebody went there and spent just $44,000 on some weekly calls. Again, not a name that an ETF that you hear that much about in terms of option activity. What else do I have written down? Yeah, Baidu, NOC saw some calls as well. Maybe looking for some 52-week highs. The other thing that I noticed, and I kind of noticed this early on, even before the Fed meeting, J.P. Morgan was starting to rally. So I put this on Twitter a couple times, but the banks were actually the best performing group today. Go figure. And this J.P. Morgan looks like it's trying to break out. Goldman had a nice day today. I was messing around. I messed around with some Bank of America calls. I was just looking for a move through the value area. But look how Goldman took off here too. Nice leg up there. BAC. I was just looking for a move, and I actually put these calls on here. They went lower, but they made it through the value area, which is what I was looking for. Here's my blotter for the day, which I'm always I'm always transparent. Baba took a profit target early. Ooh, can't speak today. Like I said, most of what I was trading today was starter stuff. Really, I mean, I don't take a lot of risk on Fed days. You'll hear me say that over and over. One of the things I sent a midday video out to members. I was talking about just having some ample cash because this market just seems like it gives you chances, right? And we certainly got that this afternoon. And then I started to kind of go into some things. I went into some IWM. I went into a little bit of Netflix too, and made a little bit of money in both of those trades. Not huge winners, but hey, nice scalp for some winners. And that's kind of what I look for on Fed days, and also to kind of look to trade against support. I try to call out as many things as I can, but Qs, made it back. I was talking about how we were kind of in the middle of the 1 hour value area for both the Qs and S&P. We tagged that and bounced from it. If you look at S&P futures, and I did tweet this out right when it happened, but we tagged this bottom of value. So we hit the support, and you could probably find that. Again, I don't make this stuff up. I said S&P future support for the week is 29.82. So we had a nice bounce off of that. And really, that's what these Fed days are. Can be used for. You kind of look for your best risk to reward setups. Somebody was asking me, hey, what do I think is going to happen for this Fed? You just got to kind of have to sit back and let the first move take place. Because again, it's pretty traditional that we don't always go, even though it looks like we're going in one direction and, things look like they were going to fall apart a little bit this afternoon, but we don't always go that direction. That first direction seems to always get faded. Again, nothing's 100% of the time, but it kind of lived up to tradition today. But that's it. And once you find some support to kind of trade against, you could try to play for that bounce. And that's what it's kind of all about. Especially if you're doing a little bit of option trading, you kind of wait, and have a level to trade against. And that was the only reason why I traded Netflix too. It wasn't because I like Netflix. It had a nice level to trade against, which was the 287.61. And again, I was just looking for a bounce here and in and out, in an hour. So some nice setups, if you were patient today. All right, guys, that's it. Quick video, like I said. Have a great night. See you tomorrow. Glad we're through. My thoughts going forward. So thoughts going forward. Again, I think the Fed gave everything that we're looking for, and this kind of sets us up. Maybe we see a nice rally through the end of the year. I think we kind of dodged the. I don't want to say dodge the bullet, but it's always good to get the Fed meetings behind us. We've got a couple weeks till earnings start. Maybe we could possibly see, a rally for the next couple weeks. All right, guys. Look forward to tomorrow's trading day. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.